Hello and welcome to the Hold All Tickets World Pool Preview in collaboration with the Hong Kong Jockey Club. Bet with the world. I'm your host, Alex Donnelly, and it is a massive day because it is day 2 of the championships at Royal Randwick. All 10 races on the card this weekend with the World Pool. So playing at my home track, I was born around the corner from the Randwick racecourse in 1991. I love the championships. Can't wait to get into it. So of course, this weekend at Sydney day 2, the rail is in the 3-metre position and we are on a soft 5 circuit at the moment. And let's be honest, it's Sydney. It could rain at any time, but at the moment we're playing with a soft track. Hopefully we do get an upgrade. The track played okay last week. You had to be off the fence in the finish in some of the races there down the straight. But look, hopefully with the rail in the 3-metre position, every horse gets their chances. We do hate biased tracks. Of course, as said, all 10 races from Royal Randwick this week on the Hold All Tickets World Pool Preview. So the bet types, we do need to touch on them off the top. Win and place, your each way betting, your Cornella, your Exacta, your Duet, First Four and Trifectas, of course. So all of them available for World Pool punters in Australia this weekend at Royal Randwick. So, as said, we have 10 races to get into and we're going to dissect them one by one. Race number 1 comes up. It's the World Pool Fernhill Mile over 1,600 metres for the 2-year-olds. Happy to leave this race alone to kick off the day. You've got 7 2-year-olds taking on the mile for the first time here. Pretty interesting race as well. Got form coming all over the place. It really doesn't tie in together. If you're forcing me to have a bet, I'd have something on Spicy Lou or maybe Garrick's at odds. But look, I'm happy to let this one go and see how the track plays. But it's a very interesting race nonetheless. Race number 2 is a good race. It is the South Pacific, a classic over 1,400 metres for 3-year-olds. It is a listed event. Having a bit of a trifecta here with a couple of horses. First off being at number 3, Yoshinobu for Annabelle Neesham, Rob Archibald, Jason Collett takes the ride. Probably got a bit too far back last start in the Derby Munro behind Autumn Glow. And then before that was favourite in the Fireball and was okay enough there. I think the step up to 1,400 metres is suitable. You have a look at some of his form. He was beaten 2.5 by Switzerland in a Roman Consul last preparation, so have him in the trifecta. Number 5 next, No Strings Attached. I won't make the obvious joke there. For Busted and Young, Blake Shin takes the ride. Won the Future Stars race at last start at Pakenham after winning that Rich Maiden there. So has come through that series quite well. Had a bit of a freshen up. So that was at the end of February. A trial since at Cranbourne was quite good. B Shin on board, 54.5. You dead set nearly have to chop a leg off of Blake Shin to get down to that weight. But he is sticking with this horse all the way through. So it absolutely goes in. As does number 7, Canara for Zach Lloyd. I thought it's been good in 2 runs this time in on the Kenzo track. Step up the 1,400 metres is suitable. And last preparation did start $5 in the Carbine Club after having no luck in a Reginald Allen. And then we're going to throw in at number 11 down the bottom into our trifecta. Meridiana for Sarge and Molly Burke. 1 start for this Preferment filly, was a dominant winner over 1,400 metres at the Kenzo in a maiden. So 1 for 1, bit of a step up, but the trials were quite good. And I think this filly's got plenty of ability. So let's see how she goes. So that said, trifecta in a race number 2, 3, 5, 7 and 11. Race number 3 is the Provincial Midway Championships final, 1,400 metres, $1 million on the line here. Interesting race, but I'm pretty keen to back with the top weight here, Matchka Latte. Don't prefer that. I prefer, an oat flat white. But anyway, it's 2025. I won't judge you on your coffee orders. This Sarah Ryan at Gelding by Maurice has been quite good and consistent all the way through. Like last preparation, 3rd in Cameron Handicap when first up, was put away, aimed up at this, ran 3rd in a championships lead up at Newcastle and then absolutely smacked him at Newcastle 3 weeks later. So it's had 2 good runs over the 1,400 metres. My only knock is, would he be looking for that little bit further now? As we've seen in the past, he ran behind Lindemann a couple of years ago in a Rosehill Guineas and then was 2nd in a Carbine Club. So he's been doing this off a long break. He's obviously a horse that's had plenty of issues. So Sarah Ryan to get him back basically after, he had a 1.5 years off leading into last preparation. If he's going any good, he should be getting the job done. 14 starts for 2 wins, but you look at the races he's running, he's been thrown in the deep end and he's drawn quite well. I think he's going to be hard to beat up on speed. Next race, or race number 4, is the Percy Sykes 2-year-old fillies. I'm going to leave this one alone. This is an absolute lottery. You've got horses that are coming out of the Golden Slipper. Tempted should have gone close. You had Within the Law who fell. You've got the winner of the Magic Night Memo. Military Tycoon was good there. In Karuna was quite good in the Riesling. And then you've got horses coming from Melbourne, horses that have won midweek races. I'm just going to leave it alone. Hopefully we're in front. We can enjoy this race and maybe look for some fillies for the future here. Very interesting race, but happy to leave it alone. Race number 5 is the Arrowfield Sprint over 1,200 metres. This is for the 3-year-olds. Autumn Glow, she'll dead set win this. She will absolutely win this by as far as you can kick your hat. She's a superstar. We don't know how good she is, but she's unbeaten. 4 starts, 4 wins. She'll go 5 for 5 on the weekend. Drawn barrier 5. Just keep her out of trouble, J-Mac. She'll win. But we'll have an exacta here. Bit of a different one. Number 6, Big Swinger for Charlotte Littlefield and Craig Williams. Draws barrier 3, this gelding by Trapeze Artist. First up at Pakenham, absolutely killed him with 61.5 kilos. Drops 5 kilos here to 56 kilos. You go through the form. On debut at Ballarat was awesome. Start number 2, dead set toyed with him. Then was thrown into a listed race on Melbourne Cup Day. Started favourite, and you had to lead that day to win. And he didn't lead. He was just behind the speed there, but started favourite. So the starting prices of this horse have been short all the way through, and he's big odds. So I reckon we'll be able to get a good exacta bet out of number 8, Autumn Glow, and number 6, Big Swinger in the 3-year-old Arrowfield Sprint. Race number 6 is the Australian Oaks, 2,400 metres here. A small but select field of fillies here. Treasure the Moment, she'll get the job done again. She is a class above. Her win last start in the Vinery Stud Stakes was awesome on that wet track. She gets back onto dry ground here, which is very good for her. I think she just floundered that tiny bit on soft going, but on good going, she's absolutely dynamite. Her win in the Oaks last preparation was absolutely fantastic. Obviously, has been winning all the way through since. So I'm having a win bet hers. We're going to get pretty decent odds on the weekend, I think, on the totes there. And I'm going to have an exacta with number 4, Verona Rose, who got a mile back and absolutely rocketed through the line, being by Castelvecchio out of a McPhee mare. She's absolutely going to eat up 2,400 metres. Another exacta there, numbers 2 and 4 in the ATC Oaks. Race number 7 is the Sydney Cup, 3,200 metres. We have a full field and a couple of emergencies here. How good's the Sydney Cup? 3,200 metres, a great handicap, 56.5 kilos down to 50, right on the bottom there. And look, I'm going to look around the favourite here. Happy to take on Alicante, because I think just on a brutal speed, if they do go a bit quicker, she may be found out here. Just want to take her on because I think we can get a bit of value out of number 6, Zardozi. She's going to be the first of the each way bets there. Like, just started $15 in a Melbourne Cup on the totes last preparation. And look, she finished 4th. She was beaten a length and a half. Look, the winner at the 250 metre mark. So you're going to get a good price, Zardozi. She's going to run out the trip. She's in her grand final. Her form this time in's been fantastic. You look at the run in the Blamey, the Peter Young and the Australian Cup. 2,000 to 3,200 is a massive jump. This is James Cummings and Karen McAvoy we're talking about. Karen McAvoy rides Melbourne Cup winners in his sleep. We're going to have an each-way bet there for sure. And of course, another one down the bottom here. I'm just absolutely going to follow this one all the way through. That being number 15, Birdman, who got a mile back last week in the Chairman's over 2,600 metres and absolutely rocketed through the line. Zach Lloyd, 50 kilos, barrier 1. He's going to settle closer for sure. He's been getting a mile back in some of his runs. His form all the way through has been a horse of one that I want to follow. Now that he gets out to 3,200 metres, this son of Free Eagle looks absolutely brilliantly placed, and the market has wanted to be with him all preparation as well. So I think punters will want to follow him in there. So 2 each way bets in the Sydney Cup. Number 6, Zardozi, and number 15, Birdman. Race number 8 is the main event of the day, the Queen Elizabeth Stakes over 2,000 metres. It is Sydney's premier race. Now, personally, I love the Doncaster, but I understand why this is the main race. $5 million on the line, weight for age, 2,000 metres, 14 starters, fangirl scratched for later in the day. Would you believe it? I am looking around Via Sistina, the best horse in the country at the moment, possibly one of the best horses in the world. I'm going to take her on because she's pretty short. So bear with me here, punters. Number 2, Rusham Park, each way to start off with, for Christophe Lemaire flying in. This horse's form is absolutely outstanding. Last preparation, he was second in a Breeders' Cup turf at Del Mar with Rebels Romance in front of him, and he beat Sherrar home. And that form is absolutely brilliant. Then you go back to the start of last preparation over 2,000 metres this time last year in the Oscar High, when starting pretty short in the market there. One of the favourites was beaten just on half a length by Bellagio, Opera, and then ran into the Tazaruka Kinnan over 2,200 metres behind Blow the Horn and Sol Oriens. That form is more than good enough to win this race, provided he can run out the 2,000 metres in a strong time, which he's proven he can. I know you can't compare times to different tracks given the flying start in Japan, but his form, if he brings his best, is absolutely good enough. 7 goes at 2,000 for 3 wins and 3 seconds. That form absolutely ties in. We're going to be able to get a price out of this horse, so I'm happy to back him. Also going to have a Quinella with number 1, Due by Honour. He's unbeaten in Australia. He's had 3 starts here and won 3 Group 1s. How can you not have him in? Tommy Mark 1 from barrier 13, rated through the roof when winning the Tancred last start. Dropped back to 2000, there's no issue. He won the Queen Elizabeth 2 years ago and of course won the Randwick prior to that. Number 2, Rushan Park in there as well. And I've got to throw number 12, Via Sistina, in that Quinella too. From barrier 1, she's just going to get a perfect run. J-Mac will probably settle a little bit closer like he did in the Cox Plate last year. She could well explode, but I'm happy to back Rushan Park each way and then also have the Quinella with numbers 1, 2, and 12 in the Queen Elizabeth. Race number 9, Queen of the Turf, over 1,600 metres for the fillies and mares. Wait for age here. Fangirl is your nominated top selection here. She's just so well placed in this race. It's one of the weakest races she's run in so long. First up was Dynamic, then was good against Via Sistina, and then had no luck in the George Rider last up behind Gringotts and Chowolf. If she gets a good run in this race, she will simply win this. She's the best horse in the field. Her Randwick mile record is fantastic. She's been a dominant winner over this track and distance in the past. You just have to go back, beaten half a length by Via Sistina 2 starts ago. She brings that. She absolutely wins this race. We're also going to have a Quinella with number 1, Fangirl, of course. Number 3, a Tissue. She's a winner of this race in the past. Her last grand final over a mile at Flemington, which was last preparation in the Empire Rose. She won that race. She's won this race in the past. A mile is her sweet spot. I don't think she gets a strong 2,000 metres, as we found out last start in the Australian Cup. Randwick, 1,600 metres. A little bit of cut in the ground. She's going to be in the finish as well. And then the 3-year-old filly down the bottom, number 12, Lazura, who was really good when winning the Far Lap 2 starts back. And then, oh boy, if you backed her last start, you deserve to collect, because she had no luck whatsoever and was beaten half a length there by Lekvate on the heavy A track. She should have won. Simple as that. She is a horse that's got just unlimited potential. She is the new level of Fangirl. Think all those fillies like Fox Play back in the day that Chris Waller has taken his steps with and gone all the way through. She's not at the level of Autumn Glow or Lady Shenandoah yet, but she could win her first Group 1 this weekend. So she goes in the Quinella, 1, 3, and 12. Race number 10, the last race of the day at Randwick. It is the Sapphire Stakes, 1,200 metres for the fillies and mares. I'm going to have something on number 3, Alentia, for Chris Waller and Tommy Berry from barrier 2 here. Drops back from the 1,500 metres last start in the Coolmore, where she was quite good. Before that, she was good in the Guy Walter. Her Randwick record, not so great. 9 starts for 1 win, but her record over 1,200 metres, 7 starts for 4 wins. So maybe Chris Waller thinks that this mare by Zoostar later in her career is a bit of a sprinter. So I'm happy to have something on her from barrier 2, because she could be in the right part of the track given the way that I expect this rail in the 3-metre position to play. And provided she can settle that tiny bit closer, I think she's got a massive chance in this race. The favourite's more than likely going to be Commemorative. Draws barrier 13 and has some synthetic hoof filler. And that's just enough just to put me off on the weekend. So I'm happy to back number 3, Alentia, in the final event of the day. All right, that is all 10 races done and dusted this week at Royal Randwick. Of course, brought to you by our friends at the Hong Kong Jockey Club and the World Pool. Bet with the World and the Hong Kong Jockey Club this week and at Royal Randwick. Plenty more World Pool events coming up over the coming weeks as well. Of course, we've got Champions Day coming up in the next few weeks at Hong Kong too. Can't wait for that. You've got Mr. Brightside and Royal Patronage flying over to run in the mile against Voyage Bubble. It's going to be an absolute belter of a race. And of course, Car Ying Rising running in a Group 1 as well. That's all coming up on the World Pool. But for now, we are done and dusted on the Hold All Tickets World Pool preview.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.